Welcome to the BXG podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet at the nexus of the universe and are melded as seamlessly as pizza, which is what binds us and tears us apart. It truly is. I am one of your hosts, Brent Beswick, alongside my co-host, don't put your hands on anybody, Greg Felson. Greg, how are you this evening?
I'm still in. I didn't put my hands on anyone, so I'm still here.
Right.
Happy about that.
Right.
It's a lesson.
TJ coming to the house.
No, because if TJ shows up, it's bad news.
Bad news.
It's bad news. He didn't show up. No, I'm doing well, just off of work, ready to do the show. Excited about the show. I think we have a pretty great episode tonight.
I understand you have an announcement.
I do have an announcement. I will no longer be working two jobs very soon. Nothing major on the end of like something else happened. I just decided that working so many hours every week was debilitating to my health and wellness, and decided I needed to slow that roll down. So maybe I'll be a more refreshed person in the coming weeks, and that's hopefully for the betterment of the show. But more importantly, my health is second to the show, but I hope both things are just beneficial to everything. I really come across just being very, very tired, and I don't like that. There's nothing I hate more than not being the energy of the room, and it was starting to really come through. So I decided to cut the cord. I did it for more than 2 years, and I'm excited to see what happens with just the one job and what that will be like.
Yeah, I think it's a good move for you.
Thank you.
To get into, all the details of our personal lives, what have you, but I think that I've worked at jobs where it's torture and it's bad on your mental health. So, hopefully this is it's a good move for you. We do have a great show tonight. We've got a guest we'll discuss here shortly. We have the social medias, BXG Podcast. BXG Podcast publishes every Friday at 9 a.m. on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Good Pods app, and other podcast services around the globe. Official BXG social media, Facebook.com/BXG Podcast, where you can now use the podcast tab on your mobile device to listen to new and the back catalog of the episodes. The Instagram account at BXG Podcast, at GTFills, at Y2B, and over on Twitter at BXG Podcasts and at GTFilson and at Y2B. The YouTube channel, where you can see the a la carte selection of each episode. For example, last week we discussed the Rolling Stone top 500 songs. It was a heated discussion. You can check that out over on the YouTube channel there if you want to pour a little gasoline on the fire.
Oh yeah, so much gasoline.
So we have a great show. We have John Schurke, the Santa Barbara baker, is going to join us. We're going to talk about the new Star Wars animated short, Star Wars Visions. We're going to talk about the challenge. We're going to talk about What If, Marvel's What If, et cetera, and so on, pop culture potpourri, what have you. So let's get into it.
All right. So we're going to get this show started with a guest, and we are delighted to have a friend of mine and, a friend of the program, really. I did his show, Santa Barbara baker, Jonathan Schurke. He's joining us, and he's huge on YouTube right now, thousands and thousands of followers. It's a great account. He bakes pizza. He's got a great attitude. Also on Instagram under the same name, Santa Barbara Baker. So we wanted to have him on because I'm a friend of his, and we love the pizza lifestyle, but also just, we're all in this together with the social media and the interacting with, people online. So John, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you coming on. And how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here. How about you guys?
Doing great. Thanks. So I guess to kind of start off, I want to introduce you. And, like I said, big into pizza. You've also bake a lot of things. So just like, what's your background to get people kind of to know you in the baking realm, in the pizza realm?
I mean, when it comes down to it, I'm a food guy. I love everything food. I've been obsessed with it for years. I'm not a professionally trained chef by any means, but I've just been so obsessed with it that I've learned techniques throughout the years. And I just would spend my time. I made maps, so I was a GIS guy, and spend my time though thinking way too much about cooking and baking things. And eventually, though, I think pizza. How did I land there? I think it was I was always interested in pizza. Would make it kind of from here and there, but then feel like I finally like cracked the code a bit on it at home and started producing some really good pies. And took a trip to Italy, and that just fired me up even more. I just came back and just been making pizza almost every day since.
That's pretty rad. I think pizza is like one of those things that everybody can get behind. You know what I mean? I don't think that there's anybody in the world who doesn't like pizza. If they are, they're probably a communist. What was it that made you decide to take your love of pizza and kind of share it with everybody on your social media pages and then on your YouTube channel?
Well, the Instagram started, it was actually, I got to give credit to my wife. She was the one that pushed me to do that. I've been starting to bake a lot at home, making pizza weekly and posting on my personal Instagram. She was like, you should make a separate one and just see what happens with it. Like maybe have a little side hustle of selling cookies or something in Santa Barbara. That's more of where it started. And so I just started posting up and seeing, if there's any interest in it, and it started growing from there. And I just kind of more zeroed in on pizza because I do like to eat cookies every day too, but pizza is a little more acceptable probably as a and exactly what you're talking about. I mean, pizza is a thing. It's the world's greatest food. I think when it comes down to it, it's everywhere. Everybody loves it. It's in so many forms. That's what I think. If you don't like it, there's probably you just haven't had the right type.
Yeah, and I can test. I've had John's cookies too, and they're super bomb. Guy makes his own Nilla wafers, for crying out loud. So this is where he's at. Yeah,
that's my son's favorite food, vanilla wafers. So that's pretty cool.
They're surprisingly easy to make.
Oh, okay, cool.
But only like people that are like weirdos like that make stuff like that. You can just buy a box at the store for how much?
Right, it's like $2. It's crazy. So one thing, John, is like you and I met when we worked at the restaurant together, and we shared our love of pizza. I think that was like the one thing. That's why you and I became such fast friends. And then you left, and I'm still there. But then you really went into this pizza thing. And what were your initial expectations when you decided to make like this pizza YouTube channel and bring it onto the Instagram? What were the initial expectations?
Well, my initial idea with Instagram was I kind of kept it more anonymous. My idea was like, let the food speak for itself. And also too, I was like working in an office all the time, and I was like paranoid that they would like think I was just like making pizza all day instead of working.
Right.
But I think it was like basically when the pandemic started happening, I was like, hey, I'm making it home. People were like, how do you make this stuff? And I just started posting some quick stories of what I'm doing, and there was a lot of interest in it, and that's what I was like, kind of just had this moment of like, oh, maybe it's a better idea to really like have yourself out there instead of having it be more of like an anonymous type thing. And I think now that I've done that, I think there's a big benefit to that, because I don't know how you guys are like getting out there of like accounts that you enjoy. I think it's most of the time there's like some sort of personality I think associated with it, and I think that really like helps to make your content into something else. There's somebody behind it versus, everybody, right. A lot of people there can take a beautiful picture of beautiful food. It's got to have something else. So I think like when I started putting myself behind it a little more, it started to grow. And I thought the logical place to Instagram, you're just limited by the time on there. So the next stop was YouTube. And I mean, that's like the puzzle that I'm always trying to crack of how to grow that. I feel it's definitely is challenging. YouTube, there's just so much content on there. It's, it's difficult to make yourself rise to the top, but that's what I'm trying to do.
And you've obviously, grown both your accounts by so much ever since you started that. What's, how does that feel? Or, now you've become, semi, famous to some degree. I mean, a lot of people know you. We both follow a lot of pizza accounts and, whatever. How have you responded to that growth in your popularity?
I was pretty surprised and like grateful. It was like, I'm really pretty hard on my food, and I'm hard on myself in general. So it's like nice to get some positive, mostly, I mean, I get all sorts of feedback, but the vast majority of it's positive, and it just has been cool to see people really take to it. And I mean, I really put myself into it, and it's, I think that's what, it's cool that people pick up on that I hope to put something out there that's like my own little vibe and style to it, and, still give reverence to the great pizza for what it is, but it's a lot of fun.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
I think for me, and just kind of watching your content, and I'm not really like a guy that seeks out like food, tutorials or stuff like that. But Greg sent myself and one of our other, as I like to call him, contributing correspondents, Ty McAfee, the video that you guys did together. And Ty and I both took had the same feedback, which was, this guy is the hype man for like anything. If I'm ever doing a rap concert, if I'm like, you're my hype man. And I think that it is like, it's that sort of, like you said, putting yourself into it is, you're so enthusiastic, and that comes across very well. And I think that lends itself to what you're trying to accomplish. And I think that just talking to you now, I can tell that it's not an act, it's genuine. That's who you are. So that's pretty cool. One of the questions that I had based on that video, and Greg was kind of explaining, kind of the ins and outs and what have you, is that you are an Uni ambassador.
Yeah, that's, I'm officially now an Uni ambassador.
So how does one become such a thing?
Making really delicious pizza is really what it comes down to, or really a beautiful pizza. Okay. That's what they like to see. And I mean, it's something that Uni reaches out to people that they like their content, and ask them to be part of the program. So, I mean, something like that, how do people get into it? People I see is, they're using Uni products and in unique ways. And
they're not just making like a Stouffer's French bread and shoving it in there, and that's more unique than a lot of stuff out there. So take it for what it's worth. I think that's a key thing. There's so much stuff that's like a lot of the same. I think now of having something that, wow, like if you come across it, of like, what's this guy doing? How's he making this or whatever? And something interesting.
And, you and I have talked so much about pizza, and I will just, before I get into my question, just say the pizza community that I've noticed through my like very amateur pizza making stuff, and it's so strong. And you and I have talked about like the crappy comments we get from people every once in a while, but like, I would say, and you can disagree or agree, I feel like the support you get from pizza people is like one of the strongest communities you can be a part of. And what have you seen through doing this in the pizza community?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are surprisingly, or maybe it's not all that surprising. People are really open to share their knowledge. I think it's I mean, people out there that are claiming a lot of secrets, I would say just move along, because most people are willing to share their information, and that's what I was. Even like, famous pizza people of that's why I was surprised how accessible a lot of these people are, and how willing people are to share their knowledge. I think that's what's really cool. I mean, everybody could be positive that pizza looks great, but like, hey, have you thought about that? That's the kind of stuff that I find is really cool, when it's like, hey, I mean, I've never even thought of that, and that gets me really excited. I think people are willing to share. Overall, I think the pizza community is pretty open and excited.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And that just leads me to this. What is your favorite pizza to make at home? Like, what is that number one? If I'm going to make something, this is it. I'm getting judged on one thing. What am I doing?
I mean, it's a mark, right?
Yeah, exactly. It does.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't have to explain that to me, because I've no clue. What is that the sauce on top thing, or?
It's just like it's a cheese pizza.
Cheese pizza.
But a pizza margarita, the classic would be tomato sauce, super simple, with fresh mozzarella and basil and olive oil. That's it.
Oh, okay.
And it's simple forms.
Yeah.
And usually that would be cooked over, Neapolitan style, high heat type thing. But a basic cheese pizza can be called a margarita.
Oh.
If it includes basil, it seems like these days.
Fair enough.
I think though, Greg, of course, margarita, but I was just claiming recently pepperoni, I think, has to be the greatest pizza topping of all time. And that probably in second here. If there's like a pizza with toppings, I wouldn't consider a margarita as like a standard pizza. Like for a top pizza, I think just your simple pepperoni pizza is
I 100% agree.
Second there.
Yeah. Those are the pizzas. Honestly, I don't really need much in my life more than that. If I'm making pizza, just those two, and I'm good. I'm set.
It's nice. Kind of fulfills, it satisfies two different ends of the spectrum on that one. Of like the marg, I think if you're feeling the vibe of maybe something a little bit more like fancy, wood-fired vibes or something, and then the classic pepperoni pizza for when it's like, I just want a slice from the place down the street that has that classic flavors as a kid type thing. I crave that sort of thing. So that's what we typically debate around here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why I do the pizza reviews, and it's shockingly to anyone, I base it off of Dave Portnoy, who only does it off cheese pizza or margarita pizza, and that's the reason. It's like, it's just that classic pie.
I'm always surprised if like that you think like, oh man, you get bored of it somehow, or it would taste boring anyway. And I feel it's like mind blowing every time. I don't think I could ever think of it.
Yeah.
It's like, how can something so simple? There's nothing really in it.
Yeah, there's just something about a pepperoni pizza. I agree with both of you guys completely. It's simple, but it hits the spot every time. It really does. What would you say for anybody, whether it's getting into the pizza reviews or any type of kind of like online influencer? I don't really like that term, influencer, but just like sharing their passion online through social media, through YouTube. What advice would you give to anybody who wanted to get started with that?
I think kind of echoing what I've said earlier about just putting yourself out there, of really putting not your kind of more your true self up there, a little more vulnerable, type of thing, of like that you're not like, everything doesn't have to be perfect. I think it is, don't get caught up in the details on that. Like, you're better off, I think, just really showing who you are, letting whatever your content is speak for itself, along with your voice behind it. But if you really believe in it, it should sell itself. People can feel that, I think, when it's genuine. I think that's the whole thing. Is in just my life in general, I seek that out of, I really like genuine people and genuine things, for whatever that means. But but I think when you put that out there, people groove on it.
Definitely. And, we'll wrap this up right now. John, really appreciate coming on. Real pleasure. I've known you now for, 2 years plus, and it's been a pleasure. I'm really happy to come on. So this is the type where you hype up yourself and let everybody know how to reach you and watch you and catch up with you.
You can find me on Instagram. I'm Santa Barbara Baker on there. I'm on there posting stuff. I try and get things up there almost daily, but it doesn't always happen. The YouTube channel, that's where you can find my pizza videos where I go in depth on how to make pizza, everything from dough to all the techniques and all sorts of fun, different toppings and different pizza. And the new stuff is I'm hoping to have more guests on the show. Greg was my first one. There'll be more in the works. You can find all my pizza dough recipes and recipes in general, santabarbarabaker.com. I have merch on there too. There's more on that on the way. And follow me on all the socials, the Santa Barbara Baker everywhere. I appreciate all the support for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks again, John.
Thanks for having me on the show. It's fun it's great having you on, and it's great to check out what you guys are doing.
No, we appreciate it. We appreciate you coming on for sure.
It's fun to have somebody all the way from the East Coast too.
Yep.
A little different.
Yeah. Different vibe.
No, it's good. It's not just a bunch of if we're going to be on Zoom,
yeah,
it should be far away.
Right. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. But I do want to, just for the East Coast people, really plug you because, Greg put me on to you and I started watching some of the different videos and following you on the Instagram and stuff like that. And everything you make looks amazing. I wish I could have a bite of it, but 3,000 miles, but thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Johnny.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. Number two, first of all, before we get into number two, we want to thank John. Follow him on Instagram, check him out on YouTube, Santa Barbara Baker. Very cool guy, very infectious. He's got a certain je ne sais quoi to him.
Yes.
That is, his enthusiasm is just overflowing. And it's great that there are people out there who are putting out content and it's just positivity. And we really appreciate him coming on.
Yeah, it was great.
But with that being said, we will move on to, so the way we decided to do this, we're going to do Star Wars Visions. And Visions is 9 anime style shorts. And initially I was under the impression that these were going to be like 5 to 10 minutes, but they're actually more in the 15 to 30 minute range. So the way we're going to do this so that we can give each episode a proper amount of shine on its own is we're going to do 3 a week for the next 3 weeks. So we started, well, first of all, this was the explanation from Kathleen Kennedy back in 2020 on Disney Investor Day. Kathleen is in charge of the Lucas film division of Disney. Star Wars Visions will be a series of animated short films celebrating the Star Wars galaxy through the lens of the world's best anime creators. This anthology collection will bring 10 fantastic videos from several leading Japanese anime studios, offering a fresh and diverse cultural perspective to Star Wars. So this is a mild spoiler for our anniversary episode, right? We recorded our anniversary episode. It will come out after this episode. But one of the questions we were asked was, why do we review shows that person X is not going to watch? And this is the reason why, is because this is something new. It's something different. It's something Star Wars, which we love. And I think that it's something that people need to give a chance to. Not a lot of people love anime, right? It's kind of a niche thing. It's less of a niche thing than it was, 20 years ago, but it's still kind of a niche thing. And then to cross it over with something with the cultural impact of Star Wars, I think it is good because it's going to get people in, right?
Right.
So we have 3 episodes, The Duel, Tatooine Rhapsody, and The Twins. So we'll start with The Duel, a short film by Kamikaze Duga, most well known for creating the DC animated film Batman Ninja. The film is heavily based in Japanese culture with a feel of a Kurosawa film. There's an accompanying tie-in novel, Ronin, a Visions novel, which will tie directly into the world that this particular short portrayed. What did you think of The Duel?
I thought what an amazing way to start this off. Number one. Yeah. I don't know if we'll like grade these or whatever of each three or whatever, but this was amazing. I mean, really, like, this is my favorite style of anime, too. Like that, the sharp lines and the not cartoonish, like, you know what I mean when I say like cartoonish, but like, we're not supercharging everything. And, you know, it just looks, it's as real as something can be and still be sci-fi, if that makes sense. I thought it just was stylistically like amazing. I thought to myself while I'm watching this, and you know, it's like this one was like 13 minutes, I think.
Yeah,
it could have been a full feature length film of this, and I've been like down 100% because it was so cool. You know, you get the whole storyline in there, which was rad. But it just, to me, it's like they knew what they were doing by putting this one first. Because
I think so.
It was, to me, of the first three, it was my favorite storyline. It looked the coolest, and it wasn't it wasn't a storyline that was close to really anything else we had seen, but still felt very Star Wars at the same time, which tells you, and you know, I've seen different things. It's like you don't need Luke Skywalker to have Star Wars. You just need to have good storylines and lightsabers. I mean, honestly, I know that, you know, you still need to have lightsabers.
Well, you don't need to have lightsabers. Well, because the Mandalorian proved that.
Well,
but I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like, not necessarily lightsabers, but the idea of like Star Wars, like something that is still tied, you know, that's Baby Yoda or whatever it is. There still has to be like that tie-in, but that tie-in doesn't have to be Skywalker.
Right.
And that, I thought this was just such a great start to this. I loved it. It's one of those ones where it's like, I might watch this as like part of my just Star Wars viewing now, because I thought it was so good. And if there's someone that was, you know, maybe out on Star Wars or whatever, I'd be like, well, you know, maybe you didn't like the last films or whatever, but this is cool.
Yeah. I agree that this was a very smart way to start this out, episode 1, because it lacks a lot of the tropes of classical, or at least pop culture anime. There's no big eyes. There's no power up, like you'd said, the insane power up things. There's no, you know, scantily clad lasses, those sort of things. And that was the thing. It was like, as I'm watching it, it reminded me less of an anime and more of a Kurosawa film, because that's what it was like. It reminded me almost of like Samurai 7 or something like that. You know what I mean? Shogun Assassins.
Yeah.
It had more of that vibe. You had the droid with the straw hat. You know, you had the samurai kind of rolls into town with the 2 katanas on his belt. That whole situation, like the wandering Ronin, right? I'd be really interested in checking out that novel. For sure. I felt like, of the 3 that we're going to talk about tonight, this one was far and away the best. And I think that because it lacked a lot of those anime tropes, it's probably, even though it is grainy, it's mostly in black and white minus the colors of the lightsabers. I think it's probably the most accessible.
Yes.
Of all of these. But we'll move on. So definitely, like you said, I don't know if we're going to grade these, but we'll just throw a letter grade on it. For me, the duel was an A++.
Yeah, I can't give it. It's like, basically it did everything it needed to do to get extra credit too.
Right. Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. We'll move on to Tatooine Rhapsody, a short film produced by Studio Colorido. It follows a band of younger kids that plays for Jabba at the pod races. The art style is more of the traditional kind of like chibi style that's sort of very in the vogue right now, and would remind people of like My Hero Academia. Studio Colorido is one of the lesser known of these particular studios that they're working with, but they're most well known for its Burn the Witch series. What did you take away from this one?
I like this one too. I didn't like it as much as the first one. What I actually ended up liking about this is just being like a rock music kind of thing, and that was cool. You know, and the fact that their instruments shot out things, and their instruments were weapons too. I mean, it's always fun seeing Jabba and Boba Fett, and
Bib Fortuna.
And Bib Fortuna, exactly. So it was like, this one was more of like you said, playing to the tropes of anime. It was also like way more Star Warsy.
Yeah, sure.
Not in a negative way, because these are all characters everyone loves. But it definitely, I think it might have just been personally for me. I shouldn't say I don't like it. I'm not as much of a fan of this style of the cartoon as I am with the first one. Yeah. I love that is like, to me, that is as stylistic as you can get. And this more placates to everyone in a different, even though you said like, even though the first one is more accessible, this is more accessible to people that care about anime than someone that isn't. So this is the anime lovers kind of thing, which is fine. And I like the storyline. I thought that was it was like more fun and not as like, dark and whatever. So to me, this one was like entertaining, but it wasn't nearly as good.
Yeah, I think I should clarify when I say that the first short, The Duel, was more accessible. I mean that in the sense that it's probably more accessible for a casual Star Wars fan who's not an anime fan.
Right.
Rather than an anime fan who's maybe not as much of a Star Wars fan or whatever. This one was definitely, the art style is more what you would expect to see in an anime short or an anime, episode of something. I liked it just fine. It was a little bit more kiddie, what I mean? And it was okay. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. So I'd give it like a solid C.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at. Like I said, it was entertaining enough. I'm glad it was only 14 minutes too. It's like one of those ones where like when it was done, I was like, I'm done with it too. Good. Yeah. Okay, we're good.
Yeah. Whereas like with the first one, it was like, I want more of this. I want to know who this guy is. I want to know who that villain is. I want to know what this village is. I want to know more about this world. It sucked me in,
I was so in. When it was over, I was like bummed out actually. I was like, that was where I was at. I was like, dang, that was awesome.
Yeah. But we'll move on to the twins, the third episode, or the third short, short by Trigger Inc., most well known for Little Witch Academia. The film would be more recognizable to fans of Dragon Ball Z style type animation, including the obnoxious power-up sequences. What did you think of the twins?
I feel like almost the same as I did with Tatooine Rhapsody, and in like a different way. This was just too much of that. And I'm not saying this in a negative way, because I understand like the appeal of Dragon Ball Z, but it was just too much of like power up, fight. All these like, he did the thing where he like flashed to the future, and I just didn't. This one didn't vibe for me, and it was the longest, and it felt long. Like it felt long to me. I'm like, is this wrapping up? And it was only 17 minutes, but it was like, is this gonna end? And I had this weird feeling about this one. It just, there wasn't a real, other than the dark side, and there wasn't a real like. It was the connection with the ships and stuff, and how they tried to make it like Star Wars. But then again, it was like, and the X-Wing things were like, but it almost felt like those were just there and none of this was actually important to anything. And that was kind of what I didn't love this episode. I mean, it was okay to me.
Yeah.
There was this thing where it made me nervous watching this one, because the first one was so good. And I felt like everything it makes me nervous for the next six. Well, next six, because I don't know. I mean,
no, 7. There's 10. Yeah,
there's 10. Okay, there's
I messed it up.
No, it's okay. So it's just like it made me a little nervous that like, is this? And not saying that they'll go down, but like, was that first one the best? And that's kind of where we're at. And so it is what it is. I thought this was, in a way, I think it would have been better served for Disney to put this one first. And then go the other direction and make the third, I know how we're grading this, but I just feel like if you want to do this, you almost want to like make it like an album where like the first song's never the best song on an album. It's usually somewhere between 3 and 6.
Sure.
And this kind of threw me off a little bit, because and it could have been the length of it. Maybe it was 3 minutes shorter. I would have probably liked it more, but there was just a lot going on that I didn't care about.
Yeah, this one was definitely the one I checked my phone the most during.
Right. Right.
I should also say, and I would say that this does not go so much for the twins, but the Duel and Tatooine Rhapsody had excellent music.
Yes.
Duel of the Fates was in the Duel. Like you could hear it. It was kind of tamped down. It wasn't over the top like it was in the Phantom Menace, but it was there if you were paying attention.
Yeah.
The twins was, it was fine.
Right.
I would say it's a solid C.
I would say for me, it was a
C-.
C-, just because I don't like power up stuff. I just doesn't.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, if this is a standard Funimation Crunchyroll episode of Dragon Ball Z or Naruto or something like that, you're getting a half an hour of still screens of characters screaming at each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's, and I think that's why that these are shorts works in their favor because they don't overstay their welcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one would have been excruciating over the course of, like, could you imagine that storyline played out over the amount of episodes that the Bad Batch was?
If that storyline was 3 minutes longer, I would have been like done. Honestly, I was over it. Yeah, I was over it.
it's just that one I didn't love, but it was okay. Some other Star Wars news while we're on the topic. Marcia Lucas, the ex-wife of Star Wars creator George Lucas. Marcia is also an Academy Award-winning editor for her work on various films, including The Empire Strikes Back. Has some beef with Disney, the way they handled the sequel trilogy. Not a big fan of Rey, and she also noted that when she saw the Phantom Menace, she went to her car and cried. So lots to say from Marcia. Do you have anything on that?
I don't disagree with her. I mean, I wouldn't say I was, I'm not going to be as harsh. We've gone over this. I'm not as harsh about these, these movies as a lot of people, including yourself. But I don't disagree with her. And then you read it and what's funny is in the moment, I was more positive about these. And then when we rewatched them, I became less positive. And then
the sequel.
And then, and then even further, then we rewatched them and then we talked about them and became even less a fan. And so when I do have that
effect on people.
So it's one of those things where it's just, I don't disagree with her. And it just kind of goes back to this thing where, we talked about this with these is I hope that whatever they do next movie wise is maybe, or not maybe, but hopefully just something different. Just, we say that with everything, but for something like this, where it's we don't need Skywalker. That's what we don't need.
Get away from
we can, and it's okay. Everyone will be okay if we do this. I know that's tough to say, but things will be okay. And she's right. I mean, she was definitely not, she's not wrong with the way she felt about it. I mean, I don't have the connection that she had to these movies, of course, but still, it's just there is a thing that, trying, it almost felt from her perspective is they were just trying all these things where they basically just threw stuff up on a wall. And so they decided to see what stuck. And that's how she kind of looked at it. Oh, he killed Han Solo. That's ridiculous. You don't get the magic of Star Wars.
Right. And that's what a lot of her beef was the fact that they killed Han, they killed Luke, Leia's lost. That was for different reasons. They never had Han and Luke on the screen at the same time in the sequel trilogy. Not for 1 second. And that's I think a lot of people had problems with that. I know I certainly did. But I think that currently Star Wars is trending in the right direction. We've had the Mandalorian, we have the Book of Boba Fett. I think that this the Visions thing is a different, interesting take that is good. It's good. It's something that's not just the same thing over and over again. You know what I mean? And that's like what the problem. And even J.J. Abrams admitted, he was like, "Oh, I'm not going to go into another trilogy of movies without a plan." It's like, you go into a trilogy of movies without a plan, like you're not going to get 2 and 3 movies. That's how you go into a trilogy of movies with no plan, is not knowing that there's 3 movies on the line. But when you're handed the keys to the kingdom of one of the most popular pop culture phenomenon movie franchises in the history of film, you better have a fucking plan.
Right.
And he dropped the ball, period. Yeah. They all did, and I know that a lot of people like The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, and if they find something good with them and they find something enjoyable, then good for them, and I'm glad that they do. But me personally, no.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about this ad nauseum, and
so
this is just more, and it's meant like this is more of like what we were saying, and like you said, I do think it is trending in the right direction, though. Yeah, I really do.
I do too. Well, it's because they've handed the keys of the kingdom to Filoni and Jon Favreau, and they get it. They get it.
Yeah.
So
nerd Jesus Filoni, that's all you need. Right. And we'll move on to something just ultimately maybe just up there in the scheme of pop culture,
right?
With Star 100%. Wars, MTV's The Challenge. Yes. We see the continued fallout from the Tori and Corey instigated melee between Esther, Amber, Fessy, and Joss. After everything cools down, the morning comes, Fessy and Josh talk it out. They bro hug it. TJ shows up at the house, and it's never good when TJ shows up at the house.
Never is.
I'd be scared if he showed up at my house, even though I love him. But I'd be like, shit, I'm off the show, even though I'm not on TV show. Right. He gives grown adults, Esther and Joshua, scolding, followed by deactivating Fessy for putting his hands on another challenger. The house decides to vote in Esther. Emmy plots to get sent in by the agency, who are Casey and Emmanuel. Emmy's plan is to get away from Huey, which obviously is a no-brainer, and steal Uncle CT from Berna. Who Uncle CT also wanted to get away from Berna. That's that's true. That was a fun little thing. You write that in hot sauce, doesn't go away.
Right.
Emmy and Esther square off in a form of a hall brawl. Emmy wins the showdown and steals Uncle CT, leaving Berna much to her dismay to pair with Hewitt. With Fessy and Kells gone, can anyone else stand in CT's way of claiming another championship?
No.
It's this is the easiest season he's ever been on.
It's the only way that he loses is if they put him in an elimination where it's like something like, okay, best 2 out of 3, but the guys only get to go once and the girls have to go twice.
Right.
And he just gets bamboozled, basically. Right. But there is nothing like there's no one. Like, here's what you have to understand. We hype CT up.
He's worthy of it.
Reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? He has the physicality to stand against anyone in any physical challenge period. But he's also like an engineering major or something. He gave us that whole spiel.
Yeah, he's super smart
last season, that he's actually extremely intelligent. So he's just a lethal combination of brains and brawn for this show. I don't see anybody. There's no other men currently in the house that I feel like can beat him, like at all. There's nobody even close.
In an actual physical competition,
no.
The only person I feel like has any chance, if it's just mental, is Devin, because Devin really gets the game.
Yeah.
And he understands the game as well as anyone. I mean, like, he could teach a 500 level course in this game. But the thing is that he's teaching undergraduate CT's teaching freaking PhDs. Yeah. And, that's where it's at right now. And I will say that, we joked around about Emmy early on in this show. She's awesome and actually gets it too. As a rookie, she's developed relationships really well. She knows about lying to people because sometimes you got to do it. And then the whole thing, like, we're not friends. Why'd you were rooting against me in this whole thing? And it's like, Emmy's not stupid. She understands the game. Yeah. She knows her flaws. And I think that's a big thing with this game is understanding your flaws. And she's like, I'm not good at puzzles.
Yeah.
So but CT's really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
And right. And that's a big thing in life. It's a life lesson. Understand your flaws, know how to counter your flaws. And the thing is, I like her on this show. I think she's a great character on this show. I think she has a good future in this show too, of like someone that really can advance. And because she almost seems like someone that was just kind of studying everything and knows all those ins and outs. And maybe it's because when you're on like Survivor Romania, your life is that Survivor. And so you got to know the ins and outs of life. And she was able to take this and directly relate it to this show. Like Emmanuel's still around and for like no real reason. And there's something about like knowing the ins and outs of this show and just it's becoming friends with the right people. Yes. Not becoming friends with everyone.
Right.
It's literally figuring out who are the right people I need to become friends with, because being friends with everyone eventually ends up hurting you.
Yeah.
It doesn't help you. You just figure out who I'm actually friends with, who I can trust, who can trust me, and then moving forward. So to me, this was like a really good Emmy episode. Also, she like kicked ass in the challenge, in the actual, brawl. That was cool.
Yeah.
But she's definitely someone that I think like has a championship belt in her that she may not earn this one in the sense of because she's going to maybe on CT's coattails, but I can see her being someone that's very impactful going forward.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if they stay as a team the whole way through and like you said, ride CT's coattails, that's just kind of what it is when you're with him. You know what I mean? It's just what it is. Last season, Amber was able to be a cross-country runner. And so as a result, she has a championship. She can say she's a challenge champion. You know what I mean? How much of that is Amber and how much is CT? And it's not to take anything away from anybody. It's just,
he's the second best ever on this show.
Nobody was giving like Chris Bosh and Kevin Love all the love when those LeBron teams won championships. You know what I mean? It's just, it is what it is. And yeah. And so that you bring up a valid point. What does it take to knock CT off of his pedestal at this point? It's a return from Johnny Bananas.
We need a Bananas season very soon because
we need Bananas, we need Wes, we need CT, because the rest of these guys are just not that entertaining.
Right.
Not just from a challenge standpoint, but just from Corey's just floating along.
Right. Yeah. Corey's
Nelson, friend of the program and all, but he's just kind of there right now. You know what I mean? I mean, granted, Corey and Tori started this fight. We had in topic number 1 with John, we had the pizza that binds us. In this topic, we had the pizza that tears us apart.
Exactly.
So
all this over pizza. All this over pizza.
All and more.
Yeah.
But we're getting down to the nitty gritty. I think, as you said, when we were just BSing about it, is that I think this season's finding its footing. It's just that CT's like Thanos.
Yeah.
He is inevitable. So
unless he screws himself up.
Well, that's the other thing too, is that is a very real possibility, because however many 2-3 seasons ago, I think it was something like that, he was supposed to coast and he went up against Jay in an elimination to get his gold skull, and he lost because he, underestimated. And so that's always a possibility with CT too. If he's on his game, nobody's going to beat him. But if he's underestimating people or, mailing it in, then it's a very real possibility that he could lose.
I just want to, and we've talked some things into existence on this show, and this is, we're calling you out, Bananas. It's time to come back. Don't talk about don't talk about this on a podcast. Get in it.
Yeah, don't talk about it, be about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we'll move on to number 4. What if Marvel's animated anthology series this week? A little bit lighter of a tone. What if Thor and Loki did not grow up as brothers? Party Thor comes to Midgard and throws the world's biggest party. Jane Foster has to figure out a way to help S.H.I.E.L.D. before Captain Marvel nuke punches the Odin son. She turns to Thor's mother, Frigga, to get the job done. Some quality zingers throughout and some fun cameos as well, as we get an episode that is not wrapped in sadness for the first time in a while.
I love this.
What if sadness?
What if sadness? I love this episode because it just wasn't, it was like what you want from Thor. We've realized it, like, and this is the thing, and we have Ragnarok to thank.
Yeah.
Thor's about just having a good time.
Thor has to be funny to work.
Right. And it works. And it really does. This was a great episode. It was entertaining. You got, most of the real voices of everyone. That was cool. That's important, I think, to some degree. And it was really like it was a laugh riot, just like, Africa, right? Africa. And
wow.
and, I had a great time. The ending was a little weird. And, we will touch on that, but it was just, the little, like you said, the cameos were fun. We got a little Jeff Goldblum action, which was great. We got, Taika Waititi. We got a little bit of everyone that you kind of wanted from this, and yet it still was a storyline, and it still, it still seemed important. We got Loki still. That was one of those things where like, oh, we don't get no, we still do.
Yeah, Frost Giant Loki.
Giant Loki. So it was just, to me, this was like, I'm glad it happened, because if it was another sad episode, who knows? It just, you don't know what you're going to do. And this was an uplifting episode. It was Thor at its Thorist best. It was, the hammer stuff was so funny too. Every time he did anything with the hammer, it was awesome. And then how he's just scared of his mom.
Yeah.
My mom is coming and she's very upset.
Yeah. That's good stuff. I feel like eventually within the confines of the MCU, the film proper, there needs to be a confrontation between Captain Marvel and Thor.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that has to happen because, she's so overpowered. He is pretty overpowered himself, but we're kind of, at this point, I feel like we're kind of tired of seeing him and Hulk fight, because they fight often. So if we could get him squaring off against, or even Captain Marvel and Hulk, but I think that you have to have that be a real matchup at some point. This episode was very fun. It was nice to have a little bit of levity after the last several weeks of what if sadness. But I know Brie Larson didn't do Captain Marvel. Was Natalie Portman Jane Foster?
Natalie. Yeah.
Okay. And Kat Dennings was, great as always. I know it's just her lending her voice or whatever, but
she was great.
That character's awesome. Darcy.
Yeah.
So just to kind of get all of that, was pretty great. Sam Jackson too, making a cameo and getting punched or what have you into oblivion so that Maria Hill had to take over. So it was a good episode all in all. I think that they probably maybe should have changed the order up and thrown this one a little bit more towards the front, because it got pretty fucking dour there for a while.
It's almost like they did it intentionally. It's just like, we're going to get you really dour and then we're going to hit you with this out of nowhere.
Yeah, perhaps.
So it made me, I guess the thing with this is like, it made me more excited about what's to come too.
Mm-hmm.
And like, even though I would watch all these, whether we're doing the podcast or not, I would do it. But this, it gave me like, ooh, okay. They do have some of these, even despite this ending being dark with like the Ultron thing happening.
Yeah.
The Vision Ultra, this was still, this was still a very like fun entertaining episode that paid more homage to like the actual Thor verse than other things.
Yeah, it was good. I highly recommend checking this episode out. I do think that there are some episodes in there that you could probably skip, honestly. Where if it's just if it's not your jam, then you could probably skip zombies. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Unless you're into like horror movies, then I would check it out because it's super tropey. But otherwise, you could probably skip it. You could probably skip the Doctor Strange one, man. Skip it because it's really depressing.
It's really depressing. Unless you're just like, I don't know. Unless you're just super, super happy, like everything's going great for you. If everything is 100 right now and you just need to be brought back down to earth.
Yeah, watch that one.
Yeah,
but, I saw a really good meme of it.
Yes.
It was one of those side-by-side ones. Did you see this?
No, I didn't.
It was the Watcher to what's her name in Doctor Strange? His love interest.
Her name escapes me all of a sudden. It's Rachel McAdams, but I can't think of her actual.
Well, it's like, hey, I got something. He's like, I got a joke. She's like, what is it? He says, creme brulee. She said, I don't get it. He said, I know.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay.
Moving on.
Let's move on because that's a really good joke, and I need to not laugh too much about moving on. Okay, so we finally got to the Emmys, and the Emmy Awards were held this past weekend, and they at least were not as weird and awkward as last year. Last year, I went back and watched some of that. That was so weird.
That was our first episode.
Yeah, that was super. Last year. It was the Emmys, so it's crazy. The Crown and Ted Lasso took home most of the major awards as best television programs in drama and comedy. Josh O'Connor, my guy, love Josh O'Connor, won for lead actor in drama, and Jason Sudeikis won for lead in a comedy. Ted Lasso also took home both supporting actor awards, with Hannah Waddingham and Brett Goldstein grabbing a trophy. Kate Winslet won Best Leading Actress in a Limited Series for her role in Mayor of Easttown. And unfortunately for BXG listeners, WandaVision and The Mandalorian did not take home acting awards, despite Elizabeth Olsen doing more acting than anyone to portray a different character every episode while still being Wanda. I will still die by that. She should have won. That was amazing. Paul Bettany, who was the odds-on favorite to win Best Actor in a Limited Series, lost out to Obi-Wan star Ewan McGregor for Halston. I still need to watch Halston because I think I would like it. But yeah, that was... did anything surprise you? Anything, I
don't know about surprise. I don't think anything's really surprised me.
Okay.
I did watch, I was present in the room while it was on. I was watching a movie for our fall extra episode or our October extra episode at the same time. So I was kind of one eye on each thing. I wasn't surprised by anything. I was bummed. Apparently based on who was nominated, the Paul Bettany was supposed to win, and it kind of got pulled out from under him by Ewan McGregor. They didn't show the awards for like best guest appearance. I thought that one of those shows had a really strong possibility to win the best guest appearance, because I think 50% of the nominees in the actor category were, one of them was Don Cheadle, and that was ridiculous because he was only on screen for like 12 seconds. But the other two were Timothy Olyphant, who I thought should have won for episode 1, season 2 of The Mandalorian, and then also Carl Weathers for, I think, episode 4 of season 2. Yeah, I was bummed that none of the things we wanted to win won. I didn't think The Mandalorian was going to win, right? I didn't think The Mandalorian. Right. I didn't think WandaVision was going to win. I thought it had a better shot than The Mandalorian. But it's good to see these things starting to break into these shows. Right. You know what I mean? And we saw it with Black Panther, and we saw it to a lesser extent with some other movies that had some buzz around them, like Logan and Spider-Verse. Obviously, I mean, it's animated, whatever, I guess, but Endgame got a couple usually it's the effect stuff, but you're starting to see these things kind of creep into the conscience of these award shows a little bit more, which is good to see, I think.
Oh yeah. And I will say, obviously I was rooting for Josh O'Connor one, because I do think that he was amazing in the Crown. But I would not have been disappointed if the Crown didn't win best. It's one of those things where I want him to win, but that was basically the only not Marvel, not not Star Wars thing I really was pushing for in that end of things. It was just like you said, though. I think this is a positive, more than it is a negative, because you got to get in there. It's kind of like it's like the Bulls losing to the Pistons, back in the 80s. You gotta lose there to figure it out. Not that they're doing anything wrong. It's just, the way things go, and eventually it will turn. I honestly think I would say we're 3 years out from an MCU show winning or a Star Wars show. Yeah. A Disney thing, a Disney property that we like with MCU or Star Wars winning a best dramatic series or best comedies. It wouldn't actually shock me 3 years down the road where that actually happens.
Yeah, I think that really, and I think I said this too while I was watching it, was they did the best guest appearance, and they had Timothy Olyphant nominated, which was great because I felt like he deserved that award, right?
Yeah.
And they had Carl Weathers, they had Don Cheadle, which was ridiculous. But I think that realistically, in that particular category, I don't know why, if they're going to nominate Don Cheadle for 12 seconds of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then why in the hell did Mark Hamill not get nominated?
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was the one that was kind of a head scratcher for me the whole way around. But I think we're headed. There's always going to be these shows. People love biopic stuff. You know what I mean? That's why biopic movies win all the time. So when you have something like The Crown, it's going to gobble up awards. It just is. So until the next thing comes along that's something like Game of Thrones or what have you, I'm going to tell you exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be The Last of Us. I'm just letting you know now.
I hope you're right, Brent. I really do.
If they hold true to the story of the game, I'm telling you right now, you can ship it. Pedro Pascal will win Best Actor. The little girl from Game of Thrones will win Best Actress. Ship it. I'm 100% serious.
Yeah, I know you are.
Once people get their eyes on this story, man, I'm telling you, it's.
And this sounds maybe just weird to me. You think if The Mandalorian was on HBO, it'd be different?
No, I don't.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
There's just negative. I don't want to say negative, but there's just certain connotations around.
Right. Sure. Okay. I just want to make sure it was if you thought it was something Disney doing, because that show, you and I agree, that show's it's a 10 out of 10. Yeah, it really is. It is. So
yeah. All right, but we'll move on to our pop culture potpourri section, what have you. The director of Dune, Denis Villeneuve, is the latest to take shots at the MCU, saying too many superhero movies are cut and paste. I mean, he's out of line, but he's not wrong.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. It's rough to hear it in a sense. And I love if it was someone that I didn't like his movies, then I'd feel different.
What else has this guy done?
Well, he did Blade Runner.
Okay.
So it's just he's done stuff that I like. And so I get it. But then he's also doing things that are also have other things. So it's sort of funny to me too, because there was another Blade Runner and there was also Dune, and those are based off of it's not new content. So it's sort of funny to me in a way where he's making these comments when it's well, you're just kind of taking something already that's happened too. So you're not much different than comic books or anything like that. So I thought that was to me, that was a little funny.
People stick microphones or tape recorders in people's faces and they have to have a response, right?
Yeah, right.
And I just think sometimes the response is that there is no response. You just say something without saying anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it makes you, it just like, even when Martin Scorsese, who's one of the greatest living filmmakers of our time, came out and said, I don't think that these are cinema because they're like theme parks, it comes across as being jealous, because Martin Scorsese makes great movies, but they don't always make boatloads of money at the box office. You know what I mean? And it just comes across as just like, you know what I mean? It'd be like if something,
it sounds petty. To me, it sounds petty.
It sounds petty.
Yeah.
And it comes across in a negative way. You just have to say nothing. You know, like,
I think also,
you know what?
Like,
it's great for their success. Congratulations to them.
I would also just love for one person that is like a famous director be like, you know what? These movies are great, because movies are supposed to be entertainment and to make you get lost in the moment, whether it's 2 or 3 hours. And that way you're not saying, like, in a sense of like, you're not saying that these movies are, you know, freaking, you know, Citizen Kane. You're just saying these are what movies are supposed to be. Because that is their entertainment. At the end of the day, like I say this all the time, is like, you know what, I've loosened my thing on like being a movie snob over my years. I definitely used to be more of a movie snob 10 years ago. It's like, not everything needs to be fucking Goodfellas. Right. Yeah, it doesn't need to be. It can just be entertainment. It can make you laugh. It can make you cry. It can make you do little things like that. But it doesn't need to make you like overthink your entire life. Right. And if for 3 hours I can focus on like Captain America kicking ass or something, like, that's fine. And it is, you know, that is the thing where like we don't let the enemy. What is the phrase? How's it go? Don't let the enemy of good be great. Yeah. It's just, you know, deal with stuff that works, and it's fine. Like, you're not. I also, like, his movies are not in competition with this, you know, when it comes to like Martin Scorsese, like, right. No one is saying like, oh, well, you know, I like Taxi Driver and that's a great movie, but damn, I you know, Iron Man is such a better cinematic experience in the sense of like quality of like filmmaking. It's like, it's a fun movie to watch. I've watched Iron Man more times than I've watched Taxi Driver, and I love Taxi Driver. Yeah. And, you know, but it's just one of those things where there's a difference between that. And I don't know, it's so weird to me because these people are obviously very, very smart. You can't do what you do in that. And they don't see that though. That's weird to me.
Yeah. It's just one of those, you know, weird things. I just don't understand why you put a target on yourself like that. You know what I mean?
Right. You're just asking.
And I do understand, like, this Villanueva fella his movie is going to be competing with Marvel movies. I mean, it comes out, Dune comes out in America, in American theaters, October 22nd. Now it's going to be on HBO Max as well, but there's going to be about a week and a half, 2 weeks in between, but it's going to have the Eternals right on its heels. You know what I mean? And it's sandwiched in between, obviously, Shang-Chi, Venom, Spider-Man's in December. So it is kind of surrounded by Marvel movies. You know what I mean? And I don't think that that's an ideal situation to be in for any movie. If you're going to plan, even in a regular year, right? Even in a regular non-COVID, we're not worried about this. If you're surrounded by Marvel movies and you're trying to appeal to the mom and dad who are going to take their kids to one movie or two movies, you know what I mean? You're fucked.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, you mean I have to compete for mindshare with Spider-Man?
Right.
Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? It's like,
but I think if you just say the right thing, which is like what you said, you just seem better. You seem, and I actually hate this term. Though. Yeah. I hate saying woke, but you seem more woke. Yeah. I hate it. It made me like, it made my back. It's just saying it, but you just seem more like, and you know what, like, you're not in the news, and like, people were going to see Dune are going to see Dune in the theaters anyhow.
Right. That's just because we're about to talk about Dune. in a positive context, but because this guy had to open his mouth in a way that drew negative attention to himself. I guess it's the thought that there's no such thing as bad press, but I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah, sometimes there is.
Let's see. We'll talk about that though shortly. Mere hours last week after last week's podcast debuted, in which we discussed at length that Venom showing up in Spider-Man No Way Home would totally bring the house down. Tom Hardy was spotted wearing a Spider-Man No Way Home production team hat, which sent the nerd internet into overdrive. Is it possible that we willed this into existence? And if so, after we caused Mike Richards to step down as the host of Jeopardy, is it possible that we possess some arcane powers?
It seems like it, doesn't it?
It seems likely.
Yeah. I don't know.
Nobody was talking about this as being a possibility. And I just threw it out there.
You threw it out there. And then I was like, well, that would be sick.
Yeah.
And
we talked about that for 5 minutes. And then Tom Hardy shows up with a note. Maybe he listened to the pod.
Maybe.
And just was like,
maybe he's a friend of the program. Maybe he's one of those UK listeners.
Perhaps.
If you want to come on, Tom.
Our DMs are open.
Yeah. We'll do a 15 minutes.
I think we could do 20 for Tom Hardy.
Maybe 20.
Yeah. Yeah. This was crazy though, because it was literally
it was super. It was
like the pod crazy. Went live at 9 and my Twitter started blowing up at like 10 o'clock about Tom Hardy wearing a Spider-Man hat. And I was like, what the fuck?
It was so funny. I saw our pod went up before I went on my run, and I came back from my pod and it said that. And I thought it was a text from you because it was just a Google message or whatever. And then it wasn't. And then you were underneath saying, did you see this? And I this is weird. Yeah, it definitely blew me away.
Yeah, I'm not sold. It could just be them messing with us. I think that we'll know more about the fate of that, whenever Venom.
I still think we willed something into existence, whether it was just him wearing the hat to screw with us.
Yeah, that could
which would be cool.
Yeah, Shang-Chi wins the box office in the U.S. for the third straight week and pushed its total to over 320 million, outpacing Black Widow. Dune had a strong foreign opening. This whole Dune thing is just so weird to me. It's
so weird.
They're opening in foreign markets a month before it opens in America. I can't help but want this movie to do bad. There just seems something really pretentious.
Something's weird there. That was literally what I was going to say is it is the smartest. It's the actually guy in the room.
Yeah.
And I love Timothée Chalamet. I've gone on about, but there is a thing about is this the actually movie in the room where it's like no one likes this guy? Yeah. And he's not going to perform well.
I don't think that that's going to be the case. I think it's going to do just fine.
I do too,
but I hope that it underperforms. I hate to be that way. You know what I mean?
But there is a lot of pretension behind this movie. It is literally like the kid, that came in with he's just had a silver spoon his entire time. And he got into all the best schools, but he didn't get the exact job he wanted at Goldman Sachs. He's still at Goldman Sachs, but it's just weird. Yeah. The vibe behind this is so weird, unnecessarily too.
Yeah, but we'll have it.
Yeah, we'll have it.
We will have the review in a month's time on
unless we go to Europe and watch it.
No, it's not going to happen. We'll have it on the 29th because it debuts on the 22nd.
That's right. Yeah.
So we will have it then. Dune. Shang-Chi will debut November 12th on Disney Plus, a day dubbed Disney Plus Day by CEO Bob Chapek. The deal will have new content. The day will have new content or updates on all things across Disney IP, which means they announced today a big Marvel event that's going to show some of the things that are coming in the future. I think there's going to be a documentary or an interview series or something like that. But I'm also expecting a trailer for the Book of Boba Fett, and I'm also expecting a trailer for Obi-Wan if we don't get it by then.
Oh yeah,
100%.
I feel like they can wait that long and do it because that's not that long. So
no, it's a month and a half, I guess. Yeah, I think. Well, I don't know. We might get one of those sooner rather than later. Probably get an update. We'll get another trailer on Hawkeye because at that point we'll be about a week and a half out.
You think we're getting Silver Surfer content?
No. I think that maybe we'll see at that point. We'll probably get some more Spider-Man, and we might get like a Love and Thunder teaser trailer.
That'd be fun. A Love and Thunder teaser trailer would be fun.
Yeah. There was a Nintendo Direct today, which is like the last week, I think it was, we had the PlayStation event. Nintendo does these every so often where they do some announcements. I have the 5 biggest announcements. There was a slew of other ones that are maybe a little bit more niche. So you can check those out on IGN or your local games coverage website. The main ones were Kirby and the Forgotten Land was announced for the Switch. If you're a Kirby guy, are you a Kirby guy from back in the day?
Oh my God, I love Kirby.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
The online arcade will now have.
Was he a ghost marshmallow? Was that his thing?
I don't fucking know, man.
I love
Kirby. He looked like a.
I thought that was...
he looked like a marshmallow. What do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want from me? He's not a ghost. He had feet. Can't be a ghost. He had feet.
I don't know. I've never met a ghost.
Shoes. Casper.
I would wear shoes if I would wear shoes if I were a ghost.
You couldn't wear like high tops though. They'd be part of your ethereal existence. Kirby has on like a pair of Chucks.
That's true. Yeah. So I guess he's a marshmallow.
Yeah, or something.
Because that makes more sense than a marshmallow will wear sneakers.
Well, and he's sucking in things.
I never seen a marshmallow suck in anything though.
The online arcade will now also have Sega games and Nintendo 64 games.
Sweet.
Bayonetta 3 was announced, Splatoon 3, and an animated Mario movie. And I have the full cast here.
Yeah.
I have the full cast.
What was wrong with the original live action one from the 90s?
Nothing.
Right. 10 out of 10.
So Miyamoto himself, the father of modern video games, Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Mario, the creator of The Legend of Zelda, made a surprise appearance to discuss a full-length Mario movie in the works from Illumination Studios. The release date in North America is December 21st, 2022, with release dates for Japan and other regions coming at a later date. While Miyamoto did not reveal, I'm reading this straight off of Kotaku, which is not a website that I recommend, but it was one of the first ones that came up. While Miyamoto didn't reveal what Mario will look like in the upcoming film, well, I hope he would look like Mario. I mean, call me crazy, blue overalls and a red shirt.
Not that hard.
He did announce the star-studded cast that will be voicing the iconic Mario characters. Here's the list of actors that will bring the Mario characters to life. I'm not going to lie. Not a huge fan of the cast. Mario will be voiced by Chris Pratt, which makes no fucking sense.
No, it needs to be a slimy Italian guy.
Yeah. Danny DeVito.
That'd be terrific.
Right. Or just, Lou Ferrigno, who voiced him on the Mario Power Hour. Yep. Anna Taylor-Joy will provide the voice for Princess Peach. Charlie Day of It's Always Sunny fame will be the voice of Luigi. Again, no sense being made there.
I just need slimy. There's so many slimy Italian people out there. Just get them on there. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I mean like people that get Rob De Niro. Rob De Niro be like, just doing this thing.
No,
you don't want Rob De Niro.
I don't like that.
What about? No, go ahead.
Jack Black. Jack Black will be the voice of Bowser. Keegan Michael Key will voice Toad. Seth Rogen will voice Donkey Kong. So there's going to be a little bit of a crossover there between the Mario cinematic universe and the Donkey Kong universe. Fred Armisen will voice Cranky Kong. Kevin Michael Richardson will voice Kamek. And Sebastian Moniscalco.
Moniscalco. Yeah.
That sounds like
he would have been Mario. He should have been
Mario. That sounds like somebody who should have been playing Mario. He'll be the voice of Spike. So
I don't like that.
He
should have been.
I don't like that cast at all.
No, I don't like it either.
Chris Pratt as Mario sounds terrible.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It's like, they just got a name. That's what they did there. They were just shooting for a name. So the Nintendo Direct, there's a lot of Castlevania stuff announced. There's like a Castlevania collection that's available today on PC, Switch, and PlayStation. There's some other things, some Smash updates. There's a Metroid Dread thing update. So it's over, like I said, over on IGN. You could probably queue up a video on like YouTube if you want to watch the Direct, something like that. Fantastic Beasts 3 gets a title. The Secrets of Dumbledore, and a release date April 15th, 2022, which is much sooner than any of us thought.
Yeah, I know what day to not see it.
I
did not like these movies.
I have not I've not watched them.
They're not good.
Billy Mitchell, the self-proclaimed video game player of the century, has had his website perfectpacman.com overtaken. The instigators are now using the site to debunk Mitchell's highly scrutinized Pac-Man and Donkey Kong records. For those who do not know who Billy Mitchell is, the real-life douchebag played the primary antagonist in the absolutely wonderful documentary The King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters, a documentary about chasing high scores on old arcade cabinets. It can be seen on YouTube. Billy Mitchell's he's
garbage. He's hot garbage.
Yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that somebody's out here trying to
it's awesome somebody's doing it. Doing God's work.
Though, like if you're into video games at all, especially like those old like classic retro games, watch that documentary. The King of Kong, Fistful of Quarters is so good. And it's on YouTube for free. Yep. You can just queue it up. It's so awesome. So I hope that they take him down because he's a real asshat. BXG listener Jared Urey hit us up with a list of leaked Star Wars Lego sets for the coming 2022 year. The list came from an Instagram account, Lego Club News. That'd be Lego _ club _ news, which I am now following. Some of the set lists were the Hoth ATST, the Luke Skywalker X-Wing helmet, the Mandalorian Din Djarin helmet, beefy version of Luke's Landspeeder from Episode 4. Some other sets that were announced that are a little bit more action-oriented, including Death Star battle scene, Yoda's training, and then another leak today of Boba Fett's palace from the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Forthcoming. The leaks were confirmed through various other outlets. He also sent me some images of the different helmets tonight. Jared did. I'm gonna grab these, see if I can grab these real quick. They look sick. I'm gonna hold them up. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see them like at all. Probably not.
No, not really. Oh no, I could. They're at the end there. Yeah. Those look sick, actually.
Yeah, it's Luke's X-Wing helmet, the Mandalorian's helmet, and then the AT-AT pilot helmet. $60 each, usually on those helmets, unless they're a deluxe one, like the Darth Vader one's a 70 banger. So looking forward to those. If you're into the Lego Star Wars scene, which I am, so. Another listener, Jared Lambert, we got the Jareds back to back tonight. Sent us a link that a Jason Todd Red Hood movie could be in the works as one of the DC-based HBO Max films. Could we see the iconic Death in the Family storyline?
That would be sick.
I don't think you can do Jason Todd and Red Hood without giving a little bit of background on why he becomes that way. So
yeah, I feel like you have to.
Yeah. Finally, SNL host and musical guests are announced for season 47. I think it was.
Yeah.
Is that accurate? Yep. Which will begin in October. Owen Wilson, Kim Kardashian, Rami Malek, Jason Sudeikis. Sorry, Jason. Said to host with Casey Musgraves, Halsey, Young Thug, and Brandi Carlile set to perform. I know all the hosts. I know none of the musical acts. So there's that.
I mean, Casey Musgraves is my favorite of those. I also really like Brandi Carlile. Brandi Carlile is a good singer-songwriter. So that's just good stuff. I don't know Young Thug well. I know Halsey fine. Casey Musgraves is my favorite of these. Anyone you picked there to be the best host of those four?
I can tell you who's not going to be the best host.
Jason Sudeikis, because he was on the show.
No, not at all.
Bring it back.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong. No, Owen Wilson and Sudeikis will probably be the two best.
Yeah. I think they'll be the best.
I would imagine.
I think Kim will be okay. But no matter what she does, she'll get crapped on.
Yeah.
Because I think she also gets it. So she's going to do as much as she can. It's just that's going to be limited in that thing. I think Rami Malek will be okay. I think his episode will actually be forgettable because it's Rami Malek and Young Thug. And it's like, he's supporting James Bond, but I just don't think that episode, I think everyone else gets a good, the host and the musical guest, he kind of gets a bad shake on that one. So yeah, it is what it is. Owen Wilson, I do think Owen Wilson actually has one of the best episodes in recent memory, because I think he's going to be playing into the wow.
I hope
that kind of stuff. Yeah. Wow.
Need your recommendations.
So last night, we watched. The idea was to watch the first episode of this. There was an idea.
To bring them together. Incredible.
There was an idea to watch one episode of this 4-part docuseries, and I was so thoroughly. Janie wanted to watch it, and I was like, "Sure, I'll watch it." And it's called LuLaRich. It's a pyramid scheme docuseries on Amazon about LuLaRoe, this really gross clothing company thing, whatever. Oh my God. I was one episode in and I was like, well, let's watch the second episode. Yeah. And I'm like, well, let's watch the third episode. And then I'm like, let's do the fourth. It is insanely, it's so addicting. It could have been 12 episodes. We might have still been watching it. I might be like, Brent, we need to postpone the podcast. It's so good. It's because you see all the stuff where it's like you're taking advantage of people that are desperate. You're seeing people that are gross that run this company and are actually gross. The company's still in business, and people that were in there and got screwed are still with it because they don't know any better. So you're seeing all this mixed in, and it's so well done. I think it's 45 minutes each episode. Flies by. I was shocked every time it ended. I'm like, that's it. So I can't recommend that enough. I really can't. And then just been watching the Fast and Furious movies. I'm in between books right now. I've been having a hard time paying attention to books, but I'm hoping next week I'll have a couple, because I started a couple and we'll see where I'm at. But the Fast and Furious franchise is where I'm at now. How about you, Brenton?
I have let's see, Survivor started this week, so that's always great trash TV to get into. It's become a feeding ground for the challenge, which I never expected. And now I'm looking and I see a certain girl, and I'm like, well, she's going to be on the challenge. She looks like somebody that Corey Wharton would get pregnant. So there's that. And, that's what I'm kind of keeping an eye on with that.
I thought about watching this season just as watching minor league baseball.
Yeah.
Here and there, I'll watch it just to see who's on there.
There's not a lot of there's not a lot of the potential challengers, I will say. There's just not. But there is one that is very much for sure somebody I can almost guarantee you that she's going to show up on the challenge within the next couple seasons of the challenge. But so there's that. I got new game came out this week, came out on Tuesday, and I just got a chance to sit with it for a couple hours today just because of work and watching stuff for the pod and everything. Kenna Bridge of Spirits, it's very much in the vein of the old Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Zelda games. So I'll have more to say on it down the line. I just haven't had enough time to sit with it yet, but because I just started today. And then I've been reading the Avengers, the Initiative series. It's 35 issues of the Avengers. It envelopes the Secret War, Secret Invasion, There's some World War Hulk stuff in it. And so I'm progressing through it. I have the first 3 volumes, but the fourth one is proving to be very difficult to find in hardback. There's one on Amazon right now. It costs $768. So I'm probably not going to pay that. No. So I'll have to see if I can find it through other means, but we'll see what we can do with that. If I have to settle and get a paperback, I will. But yeah, that's been it for me. In watching the Fast and the Furious movies, and they're something.
They're entertaining.
There's something. There's no doubt, but we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
We want to say thanks again to John for coming on tonight. Santa Barbara Baker. Check him out on YouTube. Check him out on Instagram. All the socials. Really great guy. It was a lot of fun talking.
Oh yeah.
We really appreciate him giving us some of his time. You can check out the BXG podcast every 9 a.m. on podcast services around the globe: Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods app, Amazon, so on and so forth. Check us out on our social medias, facebook.com/BXG podcast, where again, you can listen to full episodes via the Facebook app on your phone or mobile device on the podcast tab. Instagram at BXG podcast, at GTFills, at Y2B, Google, Twitter at BXG podcast, at GTFilson, at Y2B. YouTube, we are still planning on doing all the giveaways as we continue to grow our YouTube audience, for the a la carte videos, for the reviews, for the interviews, for the rants about the Rolling Stone 500, all of those things over on the YouTube channel. You can check those out. If you're less interested, if you know you're going to be like, well, you know what, I really like the challenge, I just want to listen to the challenge section, check it out on the YouTube channel. If you want to kind of trim out the fat, but we also do timestamp the episodes, so if you want to jump around while you're listening on audio feeds as well. Tell your friends, tell your families,
tell your mothers
about the unmistakable essence of the BXG podcast. Take care. God bless and good night. #blessed.
#blessed.